A Strange Story by O. Henry. In the northern part of Austin there once dwelt an honest family by the name of Smothers. The family consisted of John Smothers, his wife, himself, their little daughter, 5 years of age, and her parents, making 6 people toward the population of the city when counted for a special write-up, but only 3 by actual count. One night after supper the little girl was seized with a severe colic, and John Smothers hurried downtown to get some medicine. He never came back. The little girl recovered, and in time grew up to womanhood. The mother grieved very much over her husband's disappearance, and it was nearly 3 months before she married again and moved to San Antonio. The little girl also married in time, and after a few years had rolled around, she also had a little girl 5 years of age. She still lived in the same house where they dwelt when her father had left and never returned. One night, by a remarkable coincidence, her little girl was taken with cramp colic on the anniversary of the disappearance of John Smothers, who would now have been her grandfather if he had been alive and had a steady job. "I will go downtown and get some medicine for her," said John Smith, for it was none other than he whom she had married. "No, no, dear John," cried his wife. "You too might disappear forever, and then forget to come back." So John Smith did not go, and together they sat by the bedside of little Pansy, for that was Pansy's name. After a little, Pansy seemed to grow worse, and John Smith again attempted to go for medicine, but his wife would not let him. Suddenly the door opened, and an old man, stooped and bent, with long white hair, entered the room. "Hello, here is Grandpa," said Pansy. She had recognized him before any of the others. The old man drew a bottle of medicine from his pocket and gave Pansy a spoonful. She got well immediately. "I was a little late," said John Smothers, "as I waited for a street car." Aristocracy versus Hash by O. Henry. The snake reporter of the Rolling Stone was wandering up the avenue last night on his way home from the YMCA rooms when he was approached by a gaunt, hungry-looking man with wild eyes and disheveled hair. He accosted the reporter in a hollow, weak voice. "Can you tell me, sir, where I can find in this town a family of scrubs?" "I don't understand exactly." "Let me tell you how it is," said the stranger, inserting his forefinger in the reporter's buttonhole and badly damaging his chrysanthemum. "I am a representative from Soapstone County, and I and my family are houseless, homeless, and shelterless. We have not tasted food for over a week. I brought my family with me as I have indigestion and could not get around much with the boys. Some days ago I started out to find a boarding house, as I cannot afford to put up at a hotel. I found a nice aristocratic looking place that suited me and went in and asked for the proprietress. A very stately lady with a Roman nose came in the room. She had one hand laid across her stome, across her waist, and the other held a lace handkerchief. I told her I wanted board for myself and my family, and she condescended to take us. I asked for her terms, and she said 300 per week. I had $2 in my pocket, and I gave her that for a fine teapot that I broke when I fell over the table when she spoke. "You appear surprised," says she. "You will please remember that I am the widow of Governor Riddle of Georgia. My family is very highly connected. I give you board as a favor. I never consider money any equivalent for the advantage of my society. Well, I got out of there, and I went to some other places. The next lady was a cousin of General Mahone of Virginia, and wanted $4 an hour for a back room with a pink motto and a Burnett granite bed in it. The next one was an aunt of Davy Crockett, and asked $8 a day for a room furnished in imitation of the Alamo, with prunes for breakfast and 1 hour's conversation with her for dinner. Another one said she was a descendant of Benedict Arnold on her father's side and Captain Kidd on the other. She took more after Captain Kidd. She only had one meal and prayers a day, and counted her society worth 100 a week. I found 9 widows of supreme judges, 12 relicts of governors and generals, and 22 ruins left by various happy colonels, professors, and majors, who valued their aristocratic worth from 90 to 900 per week, with weak-kneed hash and dried apples on the side. I admire people of fine descent, but my stomach yearns for pork and beans instead of culture. Am I not right?" "Your words," said the reporter. "Convince me that you have uttered what you have said." "Thanks. You see how it is. I am not wealthy. I have only my per diem and my perquisites, and I cannot afford to pay for high lineage and moldy ancestors. A little corned beef goes further with me than a coronet, and when I am cold a coat of arms does not warm me." "I greatly fear," said the reporter with playfully hiccough, "that you have run against a high-toned town. Most of all the first-class boarding houses here are run by ladies of the old Southern families, the very first in the land." "I am now desperate," said the representative, as he chewed a tack awhile, thinking it was a clove. "I want to find a boarding house where the proprietress was an orphan found in a lively stable, whose father was a dago from East Austin, and whose grandfather was never placed on the map. I want a scrubby, ornery, low-down, snuff-dipping, backwoodsy, piebald gang who never heard of finger bowls or Ward McAllister, but who can get up a mess of hot corn bread and Irish stew at a regular market quotations. Is there such a place in Austin?" The snake reporter sadly shook his head. "I do not know," he said, "but I will shake you for the beer." 10 minutes later the slate in the Blue Ruin saloon bore two additional characters: 10.